All right, get ready because today we're going deep on 50 health journal prompts.
Ooh, interesting.
And these aren't like those basic ones, like what did you eat today or
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
We're going to get into prompts that make you think about like your whole well-being, physical, mental, emotional, all of it.
I like it. Sounds very holistic. So, are we working from any particular source material for this deep dive?
Yeah, for sure. We're looking at this blog post I found on LeStallion.com.
Okay, I'm familiar with that site. They're big on using journaling for self-improvement, right?
Exactly. And what really caught my eye with this post is how they organize these prompts. They've got them all grouped by category.
Oh, that's smart. So it's not just a random list of 50 prompts, it's more like a structured approach.
Yeah, like a roadmap or something. They've got categories for like physical wellness, mental health, emotional well-being, even healthy relationships and goal setting.
Wow, they really cover it all. I'm already intrigued. Any examples that jumped out at you?
For sure. One that I really liked was, remember a time you felt truly energized? What habits contributed?
That's a good one. It's like instead of focusing on what's not working, it makes you think back to when you felt your best.
Totally. And by identifying those habits, you can, try to bring them back into your life more intentionally.
Exactly. And I think that taps into the whole power of positive reinforcement. Like by recognizing what makes us feel good, we're more likely to repeat those actions.
Oh, and here's another one that I think a lot of people can relate to. How can you disconnect from technology to improve mental well-being?
Ooh, that's a timely one. It's so easy to get caught up in the constant stream of information and notifications.
Yes, like we're always on. This prompt is a good reminder to step away from the screens and give our minds a break.
I agree. Disconnecting is so important for our mental health. All right, so where do we want to start with this deep dive?
Well, I'm thinking we can start with the physical wellness category.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
What were some of the prompts that stood out to you in that section?
Well, one that I found really interesting was the one about describing a time when you felt physically strong and healthy.
Okay, yeah, I remember seeing that one. And it's not just about how you looked, but how your body actually felt.
Right, exactly. It's like tuning into those subtle cues from our bodies.
Like, what were you doing in that moment? What habits were you practicing that contributed to that feeling?
Exactly. And then there was another one that asked about your exercise routine.
Oh, yeah, that one was good. It wasn't just about what you're currently doing, but also, like, what do you enjoy? What do you dread?
Totally. And what areas would you like to see improvement in? It's like setting yourself up for success by being really honest with yourself.
I like that because sometimes we have these grand ideas about our fitness goals, but we don't always break them down into manageable steps.
Right. It's like that saying, a goal without a plan is just a wish.
Exactly. Writing those goals down can make them feel more real, like you're making a commitment to yourself.
Totally. Okay, what else stood out to you in the physical wellness section?
Hmm. Let me see. Oh, there is one about mindful eating that I thought was really interesting.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. It asked you to describe a healthy meal that you really enjoyed and how it made you feel.
Right. And it wasn't just about the nutritional value of the food, it was about the whole sensory experience.
Yeah, like savoring the flavors and textures and really appreciating the nourishment it provides.
Exactly. It's about being present with your food and enjoying the process of eating.
I like that. Because sometimes we get so caught up in counting calories or following strict diets that we forget to actually enjoy our food.
Right. And it shouldn't feel like a chore. Eating should be a pleasurable experience.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about prompts related to feeling physically strong, exercise routines, and mindful eating.
That's a good start.
What other gems did you find in the physical wellness category?
Well, there was one that was a bit more, I guess you could say, a reality check kind of prompt.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
Yeah, it asked you to describe any physical discomfort or fatigue you experience regularly.
Ooh, okay. So getting real about those not so great feelings.
Right. And then it asked you to consider what might be contributing to those feelings.
So it's like a little detective work, figuring out what those signals from our bodies are trying to tell us.
Exactly. Because sometimes those aches and pains or that constant fatigue can be signs that something's out of balance.
Right, maybe we're not getting enough sleep or we're pushing ourselves too hard or something like that.
Exactly. And then, of course, there was a prompt about sleep, which is so important for physical well-being.
Oh yeah, that one was good. It asked you to reflect on your sleep habits and whether you're getting enough rest.
It's easy to let sleep slide when we're busy or stressed.
Totally. This prompt reminds us that sleep is not a luxury, it's a necessity.
Absolutely. It's essential for our physical and mental health.
Okay, so we've explored some of the prompts related to physical wellness. I'm really curious to see what the mental health category has in store for us.
Me too. I think this next section is going to be really insightful. It seems like a lot of these prompts are about using journaling as a way to cultivate positive states like calm and resilience rather than just processing negative emotions.
That's a really interesting perspective. I'm eager to dive in and explore those prompts in more detail.
Me too. I think we're going to uncover some real gems in this next category.
All right, well, let's get to it then. Mental health, here we come.
Let's do it. All right, so we're moving on to the mental health category of these 50 journal prompts.
Yeah, this is the part I've been really looking forward to. You mentioned earlier that these prompts focus on cultivating positive states like calm and resilience.
Exactly. It's not just about processing negative emotions, but also about actively building those inner strengths.
I love that. So, what kind of prompts can we expect to see in this category?
Well, there's one that I thought was really powerful. It asks you to reflect on a recent experience that brought you peace.
Ooh, I like that. It's like creating a mental snapshot of those peaceful moments so we can revisit them when we need to.
Exactly. And it encourages you to really think about the details of that experience, like the setting, the people involved, and how it made you feel.
So it's not just about remembering that you felt peaceful, but about understanding the elements that contributed to that feeling.
Right. And by identifying those elements, we can maybe try to recreate those peaceful moments more intentionally in our lives.
That makes a lot of sense. What else is there?
Okay, so there's one that focuses on stress management, but it goes beyond just identifying your stressors.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just like make a list of all the things that stress you out.
Right, exactly. It also asks you to reflect on how you manage those feelings of stress.
So it's about becoming aware of our coping mechanisms, what works for us, what doesn't, and maybe how we can develop healthier strategies.
Precisely. Because we all have different ways of coping with stress. Some people find relief through exercise, others through creative outlets, and some just need some quiet time alone.
Totally. And journaling can be such a helpful tool for exploring those individual preferences and figuring out what truly works for us.
I agree. It gives us a space to really process our experiences and learn from them.
Okay, so we've got prompts about finding peace and managing stress. What else is in this mental health category?
Let's see. Oh, there's one about self-care, but it takes a slightly different approach than you might expect.
Oh, how so?
Well, it goes beyond just listing activities that make you feel good.
Okay, so it's not just about bubble baths and face masks.
Right. It asks you to consider how often you engage in those activities and how they specifically support your mental health.
So it's about making self-care a regular part of our lives, not just something we do when we have time or when we're feeling burnt out.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that self-care is an investment in our well-being, not a luxury.
And that's a really important distinction, especially in our busy world where it's easy to put our own needs on the back burner.
It is. And then there's a prompt that explores the importance of having a positive mindset.
Ooh, I like that. What does it ask?
It asks you to write about a thought or belief that brings you comfort and how this mindset helps you navigate challenging situations.
It's like tapping into those inner resources that help us get through tough times.
Exactly. We all have those inner strengths, but sometimes we need a little reminder of their existence. And journaling can help us access those strengths and cultivate a more positive outlook.
That's so powerful. Okay, what else is there in this category?
Let me see. Oh, there's one that encourages us to celebrate our wins, both big and small.
I love that because we often focus on our shortcomings and forget to acknowledge our accomplishments.
It's true. We can be so hard on ourselves. This prompt is a good reminder to give ourselves credit where credit is due.
Exactly. Celebrating our wins, no matter how small, can be a huge boost to our self-confidence.
Absolutely. And speaking of boosting our well-being, there's a prompt that focuses on mental clarity.
Okay, tell me more about that one.
It asks you to identify a habit or routine that helps you feel focused and sharp, and to consider how you can prioritize that practice in your life.
So it's about recognizing those activities that clear the mental clutter and allow us to think more clearly.
Exactly. Maybe it's meditation, spending time in nature, or simply taking a break from screens. It's about finding what works for you and making it a non-negotiable part of your day.
I like that. Okay, so I've got prompts about finding peace, managing stress, self-care, positive mindset, celebrating wins, and mental clarity. What else is there in this mental health category?
Well, there are a few more that I think are worth mentioning. One focuses on creating a sense of calm and stability in our lives.
Ooh, that sounds really grounding. What does it ask?
It asks you to identify an area of your life where you'd like more calm, and then brainstorm small changes that could help you create that sense of stability.
I love that because sometimes it's not about making massive changes. It's about those little tweaks that can make a big difference.
Exactly. And then there's a prompt that specifically addresses anxiety.
Okay, that's a big one for a lot of people. What does it ask?
It asks you to reflect on a recent instance where you felt anxious, identify the triggers, and consider how you soothed your mind in that moment.
So it's about understanding our anxiety, recognizing those triggers, and developing coping mechanisms.
Exactly. And it can be really empowering to feel like we have some control over our anxiety rather than feeling like it's controlling us.
I agree. Okay, so what's the final prompt in this mental health category?
The last one encourages us to cultivate positive self-talk.
Ooh, I like that. Our words have such a powerful impact on our thoughts and feelings.
They do. And this prompt asks you to identify a personal affirmation or mantra that uplifts your spirit and to reflect on how repeating this phrase impacts your mindset.
It's like giving ourselves a pep talk from the inside out.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that we have the power to shape our own internal dialogue and create a more positive and supportive inner landscape.
So far, we've explored prompts related to physical wellness and mental health. What's up next?
Well, next we're going to dive into the emotional well-being category. This section gets into the nuances of our emotional landscape and how we can develop a deeper connection with ourselves.
I'm really intrigued by that.
Yeah.
What are some of the prompts we can expect to see in that category?
Well, one that stood out to me asks you to think of a recent moment when you felt deeply content and to pinpoint the specific elements of that experience that contributed to that feeling.
It's like creating a recipe for happiness.
Exactly. It's about becoming more aware of the things that truly nourish our souls and make us feel alive.
Okay, so we're back and ready to explore these journal prompts that are about building healthy relationships.
Yeah, this is a really interesting category. It's all about how we can use journaling to strengthen our connections with others.
Totally. So what kind of prompts can we expect to see here?
Well, one that stood out to me was about reflecting on a relationship that brings genuine positivity into your life.
Oh, I like that. It's about focusing on those relationships that make us feel good.
Exactly. And it asks you to really dissect what makes that connection so meaningful. Like, what are the qualities and actions that create that sense of joy and connection?
So it's like taking a closer look at what's working well in our relationships so we can try to replicate that in other areas of our lives.
Right. Because sometimes we just take those positive relationships for granted, We don't always stop to appreciate what makes them so special.
That's true. Okay, what else is there?
There's one that's all about communication.
Oh, that's a big one. What does it ask?
It asks you to recall a time when you had a truly meaningful conversation with someone.
Like not just small talk, but a conversation that really left an impact.
Right, exactly. And it asks you to think about what made that conversation so impactful and how it shaped your relationship with that person.
I think that's such a good exercise because it makes us really pay attention to the quality of our communication.
It does, because sometimes we get so caught up in just getting our point across that we forget to really listen and connect with the other person.
Totally. All right, what else is there in this category?
Let me see. Oh, there's a really nice one about appreciating the unique qualities of our loved ones.
Oh, I like that.
It asks you to choose one specific quality in someone you care about and reflect on how that trait enriches your relationship.
It's like a little love letter in your journal.
It is. And it's such a good reminder to focus on the things we appreciate about the people in our lives.
Because it's so easy to get hung up on those little annoyances. This prompt helps us shift our perspective and remember why we value those relationships.
Exactly. Okay, so moving on, there's a prompt that invites you to think about a time when you felt truly listened to by someone.
Ooh, that feeling is so powerful.
It is. And it asks you to reflect on how that experience made you feel and why it was so important to you in that moment.
We all need that feeling of being heard and understood.
We do. And this prompt reminds us that we have the power to offer that same gift to others.
By being good listeners ourselves.
Exactly. Okay, so shifting gears a bit, there's a prompt that encourages you to reflect on your own communication style.
Okay, interesting. How does that work?
Well, it asks you to identify an area where you'd like to improve your communication with others.
Like maybe we interrupt people too much or we're not very good at expressing our feelings.
Exactly. And then it asks you to brainstorm steps you could take to make those improvements.
I like that. It's about taking ownership of our communication patterns and making conscious efforts to improve.
Right. Because communication is the foundation of any healthy relationship, but it's something we have to actively work on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, what else is there in this category?
There's one about boundaries, which I think is really important.
Oh yeah, boundaries are so crucial, but they can be tough to navigate sometimes.
They can be. And this prompt asks you to think about a boundary you've set recently in a relationship and reflect on why it was necessary and how it has impacted that connection.
So it's about recognizing that boundaries are healthy and that they can actually strengthen our relationships.
Exactly, because when we have clear boundaries, we're less likely to feel resentful or taken advantage of.
And that can only lead to more positive interactions.
Right. Okay, let's see. What else is there? Oh, there's one that invites you to think about a time when you felt deeply supported by someone.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and it asks you to reflect on what they said or did that made a difference and how their actions impacted your well-being.
It's so important to have those people in our lives who we can count on for support.
It is. And this prompt reminds us to express our gratitude for those people and to let them know how much we appreciate their presence in our lives.
And maybe it also inspires us to be that source of support for others.
Absolutely. Okay, so there's one about expressing appreciation, which I think goes hand in hand with the previous
Oh
prompt.
yeah, totally. What does it ask?
It asks you to consider how you can show more gratitude to the people you care about and to reflect on why this practice is so important for nurturing healthy relationships.
It's so easy to take the people in our lives for granted, you know? This prompt reminds us to slow down and appreciate them.
And to let them know how much they mean to us, because sometimes a simple thank you can go a long way.
Absolutely. Okay, what else is there?
There's a prompt that encourages you to reflect on how you typically handle conflict in your relationships.
Oh, that's a good one. Conflict is inevitable, so it's important to know how to navigate it effectively.
Exactly. And this prompt asks you to think about what strategies have worked well for you in the past and what areas could use some improvement.
So it's about becoming more aware of our own patterns and developing healthier ways of resolving disagreements.
Right. Because conflict doesn't have to be destructive. It can actually be an opportunity for growth and deeper
But
understanding.
we approach it with the right mindset.
Exactly. Okay, so last but not least, there's a prompt that invites you to reflect on the qualities you want to bring to your relationships.
Ooh, I like that. It's about being intentional about the kind of person we want to be in our relationships.
Right, and it asks you to identify a specific value or trait that you want to embody in your interactions with others.
Like maybe we want to be more patient or more understanding.
Exactly. And then it asks you to consider how that quality could shape your connections in a positive way.
I love that. It's about bringing our best selves to our relationships.
It is, and that's a really beautiful thing to strive for.
Wow, these prompts have really given us a lot to think about when it comes to building and nurturing healthy relationships.
They have, and it's amazing how something as simple as writing in a journal can have such a profound impact on our connections with others.
Totally. It's like journaling gives us that space to step back, reflect, and make conscious choices about how we want to show up in our relationships.
Exactly, and I think that's a really powerful thing.
All right, well, this has been an incredible deep dive into these 50 health journal prompts.
I agree. We've covered so much ground today.
We have, from physical wellness to mental health to emotional well-being to building healthy relationships. We've explored it all.
And I think what's so cool about these prompts is that they're not just about identifying our strengths and weaknesses. They're also about taking action and making positive changes in our lives.
Totally. It's like they're giving us a roadmap for a healthier and happier life.
Exactly. And I think anyone can benefit from taking some time to reflect on these prompts and see how they can apply them to their own lives.
I couldn't agree more. So, to wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
What is one health-related action you can take today based on what resonated with you most during this deep dive? No matter how small, taking that step is a win.
That's a great challenge, and I encourage everyone to check out LeStallion.com for the full list of 50 prompts. They've got some amazing resources on their site.
They do. All right, that's all for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.